You just got paid. Rent is due. A credit card balance is sitting there at 24% interest. Your coworker keeps talking about their 401k match. And somewhere online, someone told you to buy index funds immediately. So what do you actually do first? Most people guess. They throw extra money at whatever feels most urgent that week. Sometimes that's the credit card. Sometimes it's a hot stock a friend mentioned. Sometimes it's nothing at all, because the decision feels too complicated, so the money just sits in checking and quietly loses value to inflation. Here's the problem. The order you do things in matters almost as much as how much you save. Do it in the wrong sequence, and you can work hard for a decade and still feel like you're standing still. Do it in the right sequence, and the same paycheck builds real wealth. This isn't a guess. It's a framework used by financial planners, and it comes from decades of research on how people actually behave with money, not just how a spreadsheet says they should. Let's start with step 1, and it's smaller than you think. Before anything else, before debt, before investing, you need a starter emergency fund. Not 6 months of expenses, just $1,000 to $2,000, sitting untouched in a savings account. Why so small? Because the entire point of this fund isn't long-term security. It's to stop you from reaching for a credit card the moment your car needs a new alternator or your dog needs an emergency vet visit. Without this buffer, every unexpected expense turns into new debt, and you end up running in place. With it, a bad week stays a bad week instead of becoming a bad year. Now here's where most people get the order wrong immediately. They assume the next move is attacking debt as hard as possible. But if your employer offers a 401k match, that comes first. Not after the debt, before it. This is the one point in the entire process where you are being offered free money, and free money outperforms almost any other financial decision you can make. If your company matches 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of your salary, that's an automatic 50% return the moment the money lands in your account. No index fund, no side hustle, no investment strategy on earth reliably beats that. Vanguard's annual How America Saves report, which tracks millions of retirement accounts, found that the average employer match remains one of the fastest wealth-building tools available to ordinary workers, and yet a huge share of employees leave part of it unclaimed every single year. That's not a small oversight. Over a 30-year career, walking away from an available match can quietly cost someone 6 figures in retirement savings. So, starter emergency fund, then enough into the 401k to grab the full match. Only after that do you turn toward debt. This is also why the smartest version of this order runs on autopilot instead of willpower. Thaler didn't stop at describing the problem. Together with economist Shlomo Benartzi, he designed a real program called Save More Tomorrow, tested inside actual companies, where employees agreed in advance to have future raises automatically diverted into retirement savings instead of their checking account. Participation and savings rates climbed sharply, not because people suddenly became more disciplined, but because the decision was made once, in advance, and the money never had a chance to feel like spare cash sitting in checking. That's the same principle behind grabbing your match automatically through payroll deduction. You're not relying on your future self to remember. The system does it before you even see the money. And debt, it turns out, isn't one category, it's two. High-interest debt, think credit cards in the 20 to 25% range, needs to be treated like a financial emergency. No investment reliably returns 24% a year. Paying off that balance is, mathematically, the same as making a guaranteed 24% return with zero risk. There is no better trade available to you anywhere in the financial system. This is where most of your extra money should go next, aggressively, until that high-interest debt is gone. But lower interest debt, a car loan at 6%, federal student loans in that same range, behaves completely differently. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel Prize for his work on how people misjudge money, showed through the concept of mental accounting that people often treat debt as one emotional bucket and rush to eliminate all of it with the same urgency. But mathematically, rushing to pay off a 5% loan while ignoring long-term investing is often the wrong move. because the stock market has historically returned close to 10% annually over multi-decade periods. Rushing to zero out low-interest debt can quietly cost you the higher return you gave up by not investing that same money instead. So picture two people, both making an extra $300 a month in their late 20s. The first throws every spare dollar at a 5% student loan, determined to be debt-free by 35. The second pays the minimum on that loan and instead invests the difference in a retirement account. A decade later, the first person is debt-free and proud of it. The second person is still carrying a small loan balance, but their investment account has grown substantially larger than the debt they still owe, because they let a decade of market growth compound in their favor instead of rushing to eliminate a manageable, low-interest bill. Neither person made a mistake exactly, but only one of them understood the order that maximizes the money. Once your high-interest debt is dead, the next step is finishing that emergency fund properly, building it up to 3 to 6 months of real expenses. This is the point where behavior matters more than math. The 2008 financial crisis wiped out jobs across entire industries in weeks, not years, and the people who survived that shock financially weren't the ones with the best investment returns. They were the ones with enough cash sitting still to cover rent while they found new work. After the fund is full, only now you shift into serious long-term investing. This usually means maxing out tax-advantaged accounts before anything else, a Roth IRA if you qualify, then increasing your 401k contribution beyond just the match. Why tax-advantaged accounts first? Because the tax savings themselves function like an immediate, guaranteed return that a regular taxable account simply cannot match. Fidelity's internal research on their own 401k account holders has repeatedly found that the accounts that grow into the largest retirement balances share one common trait: consistent contributions made early, left completely untouched for decades, compounding quietly in the background while the account holder focused on the rest of their life. Only after those tax-advantaged accounts are maxed does a regular taxable brokerage account enter the picture for the extra money that has nowhere else tax-advantaged left to go. And what about the mortgage, sitting there in the background this whole time? For most people, at a rate below 6 or 7%, the mortgage goes last or gets paid down slowly alongside everything else, never ahead of it. It feels emotionally satisfying to be debt-free, including the house. But financially, money invested consistently in the market has historically outgrown the interest saved by paying down a low-rate mortgage early. This is the counterintuitive twist most people never hear. Being aggressively debt-free isn't always the smartest goal. Being strategically leveraged at a low, fixed rate while your money grows elsewhere is often the wealthier outcome, even though it feels less tidy. Set this up once, and you barely have to think about it again. Split your direct deposit the day you get paid. A fixed slice into savings until the starter cushion is full. A fixed percentage into the 401k the moment you're eligible for the match. Extra dollars routed straight at the highest interest balance until it hits zero. None of this requires checking your accounts daily or feeling motivated on a Tuesday night. It requires setting the order once and letting the automation carry the discipline for you. Think about what this actually looks like in your life this month. You've got a starter cushion, so a surprise bill doesn't become a new credit card balance. You're capturing your full employer match, so free money isn't quietly walking away every paycheck. You're crushing anything charging you 20+%, because no legitimate investment beats that return. You're not panicking about a manageable, low-interest loan, because rushing it isn't actually the mathematically smart move, and once the safety net is solid, your money is flowing into accounts that compound for decades with the tax code working in your favor instead of against you. None of this requires a finance degree, it requires a sequence. Author Dave Ramsey built an entire framework, and later a best-selling book, around exactly this idea, that most people don't fail with money because they lack information, they fail because they attack every priority at once with no order, and burn out before any single step actually gets finished. You checked your bank account earlier and felt behind, but being behind was never really about the number in that account. It was about not knowing which door to walk through first. Now you do. Small cushion first, Free money second, expensive debt third, full safety net fourth. Tax-advantaged growth fifth. Everything else follows from there, one deliberate step instead of 10 scattered ones.